Good morning. My name is Ben Holquist. I use he, him pronouns. I am a member of your board of trustees. I'm also recovering from a cold, so if my voice cracks like a 14-year-old, it's just because spring is in the air and we're all feeling young again. Longtime members and new visitors alike, you are welcome here, whether you are joining us here on site in the sanctuary or online in another location. We're glad that you're here. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders, and love is the power that holds us together. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. You are welcome just as you are. If this is your first time with us, I bid you a special welcome. I'm so glad you found your way to our community. After the service, I'll be in the back of the sanctuary right by the white geranium picture. And to answer your questions you have about Unitarian Universalism, our congregation, or how to get involved in our community, there are lots of ways to get involved in our community. For those of you here in the sanctuary, we have hearing assistance devices and large print hymnals available at the back. Our ushers would be happy to help you. For those online this morning, our online chat chaplain will help guide our online folks, and we will be using the screen behind me for our projecting our words. You can find information on our website, tahomauu.com. Please be sure to read the weekly e-news for important information about the congregation, upcoming events, and volunteer opportunities. There is a lot going on, but I'm going to call Susan up for an update on the fundraising.
Good morning. We have received a couple of pledges just this morning, which thank you very much. I'm going to adjust this at the end of my remarks. So we're probably around 56, 57% of our goal, which is 185,500. The reason for that number is so that we can pay our staff the recommended wages that they deserve according to the UUA. And I'm hoping that over the next 2 weeks, we'll be able to get close to that goal. We need to get pledges in by, I think it was May 14th, something like that, in order for the board to do their planning and finalizing of the 2025 and 2026 budget. I have been in this congregation since 1984 and a member in 1985. I raised my kids here, and I think it's so important that our congregation be a beacon in our community. I want to tell a little story. I took my daughter to Northwest Trek, and somehow the idea of God and religion came up, and she was talking about Jesus because she's currently attending a Christian school with a heavy emphasis in Bible studies and so on and so forth. So when I talked to her about how a lot of people all around the world have different religions and they worship different gods, she was aghast. She's 5 years old. And she just couldn't reconcile that. And I think that's why Unitarian Universalism is so important, because we know that people all around the world put a face on God that they are comfortable with. And yet we are respectful and accepting of many people that worship differently than we do. And so that's why I'm here. And I come on Sunday, and when I'm on vacation on Sunday, I go to church. I mean, is that the definition of an oxymoron, a Unitarian who loves to go to church and wants to go every Sunday? But this place is really important to me. We've been through ups and downs, and I'm still here. I'm still devoted. And I hope that you will see the worth in our community and show that worth in your donations of time and money. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. And again, yes, we'll be winding the pledge drive down in about 2 weeks. And I would just add, one of the reasons that we ask for the pledge now, even if you're going to pay it over the year, is that planning is maybe not everything, but it is a lot of running a small organization. And knowing what is coming is very helpful. So, whatever you plan to give, if you can give us that pledge now and let us know now what is coming, it does make the budget process so much easier. All right. I think that is it. Does anybody else have like urgent news announcements? No? Okay, good. Immediately following the service, you're invited to join our social hour in the sanctuary. There'll be coffee and refreshments over there. If you are new and would like people to come up and talk to you, you feel free to grab a red mug. That puts it on us to come talk to you. If you grab a white mug, we will only talk to you the normal amount. As we begin our service, I respectfully acknowledge that I speak to you today from the land of the Coast Salish people, including the Puyallup tribal nation, land from which they were forcibly displaced. I affirm the continued sovereignty of the 574 federally recognized tribes, including 29 here in Washington, and support those still fighting for federal recognition. I acknowledge the theft, violence, trauma, and racism that Indigenous people have experienced at the hand of colonizers from 1492 through to the present day. I honor the resiliency of the Indigenous people and stand with them as they continue to fight for land, water, visibility, sovereignty, and their very existence. I invite you to put your electronic devices in worship mode. Let us settle ourselves into this holy moment, open our hearts to learn and unlearn, to share and to receive. And now let us join together in worship.
Stories are hardwired into our very biology. Our brains arrive filled with all the cognitive machinery needed to comprehend stories and share them with each other. We are storytelling organisms that use narrative structures to organize our thoughts because we use stories to recall facts. Our knowledge is based on stories themselves.
Right. I'd like to invite Sean Pruitt up to light our chalice today. Sean is visiting us from Texas in preparation to moving up here. So he is been attending a UU church down there and is coming to visit us up here. Now, if you'll join me in our words of lighting. We light this chalice in deep respect for the mystery and holiness of life, in honor and gratitude for those who have gone before, with love and compassion for those who dwell among us, and with hope and faith for the generations to come. And now, if you will rise in body or spirit, for hymn number 38, Morning is Broken. All right, and now if the young and young at heart would like to come up and sit right up here, I will read us a story. All right, yes, good. All right, so this is a story about the stories we tell ourselves about other people, and how we think about other people, and what it is about other people we think about. It's called Mullen Nasruddin Hoja Feeds His Coat. I grew up with this story. Years and years and years ago, I was told this story by a storyteller in Minnesota. And this story has stayed with me all my life. And I was looking for a story for this morning, and I opened this book, and I opened it literally to this page. And I thought, okay, we're just gonna do this one. Long ago, long ago, during the fasting month of Ramadan, Nasruddin Hoja was invited to his wealthy neighbor's house for a dinner party. Late coming back from his field on the day of the party, he debated what to do. If I go home and change, I will be late for dinner. Is it better to be late or a little dusty? And besides, I haven't eaten all day. He decided to go in his farming clothes. Nasruddin Hoja brushed himself off and knocked on his neighbor's door. Entering, he saw that everyone else had dressed up in their finest. Trying to make conversation with the other guests, he began to wonder if he had suddenly turned invisible. No one would talk to him. When he spoke pleasantly to a man standing beside him, the man looked up and down at his clothes and sidled away to another guest. After a second, and then a third similar incident, Nasruddin Hoja quietly left the party and hurried home. He changed into his finest coat and his largest turban. Knocking against his neighbor's house, Nasruddin re-entered the party, but this time everyone had something to say to him. He found himself the center of the party. Even the host asked Nasruddin Hoja to sit beside him. As the first plate of kofta, meatballs, was passed to him, Nasruddin stuffed a few into his pocket. Next came a platter of chicken. He grabbed a leg and dropped it into his wide sleeves. Snatching a few of the stuffed grape leaves, he tucked them into his turban. Soon, the eating and conversation stopped as all the guests stared at Nasruddin Hoja. "What on earth are you doing?" asked his host. "It's quite obvious to me," replied Nasruddin Hoja, "that since everyone ignored me until I put on my fancy coat, it is my clothes and not I that are invited. Therefore, I am feeding my coat." All right. If you will rise and form an arch, we will sing the children downstairs.
Good morning, all. Generosity is a core value of Unitarian Universalism. Generosity is transformative. It doesn't just brighten our days, it changes how we relate to life. In the sanctuary, baskets are going to be passed around, and there are 2 baskets up at the front, one for trans relocation and for safe parking. And at home, you can go to the website posted on the screen and click the Give button and follow the prompts that are on the website. Thank you for your generosity.
I do. right, and if you'll join me in our words of dedication. We dedicate ourselves and our offerings to the work of this congregation, weaving a tapestry of love we call community, both within and beyond these walls. All right, and if you'll rise in body or spirit for hymn 123.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
I'd like to start us out with a reading called If We Do Not Venture Out by Marnie Harmony. If on a starlit night, with the moon brightly shimmering, we stay inside and do not venture out, the evening universe remains a part of life we shall not know. If on a cloudy day, with grayness infusing all and rain dancing rivers in the grass, we stay inside and do not venture out, the stormy, threatening energy of the universe remains a part of life we shall not know. If on a frosty morning, dreading the chilling air before the sunrise, we stay inside and do not venture out, the awesome, cold, quiet, and stillness of the dawn remains a part of life we shall not know. If throughout these grace-given days of ours, surrounded as we are by green life and brown death, hot pink joy and cold gray pain, and miracles, always miracles, if we stay inside and do not venture out, then the fullness of the universe shall be unknown to us, and our locked hearts shall never feel the rush of worship. As I get started, I'm going to ask for a couple bits of understanding and accommodation here. Lauren was supposed to be giving the sermon this morning. She had a family emergency and wasn't able to do that. So I've had a little bit less time than normal to prepare. So if some of the seams and the stitching feels a little bit rough, please bear with me. Also, this being UU, I know not everybody here has a Christian background. I'm going to start with the Christian story as a touch point, but please bear with me. This is not the entirety of the sermon. We started this morning with the hymn Morning Has Broken. For those of you that were here a couple of weeks ago on Easter morning, our minister Margot talked about all of the things that come together to make Easter what we know. All of the religions that we pull and borrow from, all the experiences and stories that go into making Easter what we experience now in the year 2025. One thing she mentioned, though, was that when she was a part of the Christian community, there was something about that Easter morning sunrise that was joyful and awe-inspiring. And she used the past tense to that. It was joyful and awe-inspiring. And it got me thinking, why would that go away? If we move away from Christianity into UU, why do we lose that joyful, glorious Easter morning? And then as we moved into last week's sermon, we heard Aaron Jones talk about the importance of our story and the stories we share with each other. And she told some amazing stories of her own. And it got me thinking that there might be something about that Christian story that lends something to the Easter sunrise. Because stories are so much of how we experience the world. There's an author, Rebecca Solnit, who wrote a book called The Faraway Nearby, about the power of stories. And in it, there's a quote. Listen, you are not yourself. You are a crowd of others. You are as leaky a vessel as ever was made. You have spent vast amounts of your life as someone else, as people who died long ago, as people who never lived, as strangers you've never met. The usual I we are given has all the tidy containment of the kind of character the realist novels specialize in, and none of the porousness of our every waking moment, the loose threads, the strange dreams, the forgettings and misrememberings, the portions of life lived through others' stories, the incoherence, the inconsistency, the pantheon of Dei ex machina, and the companionability of ghosts. There are other ways of telling. We experience stories as if we were in them. That is the power of imagination, which I was told is the theme for this month, is imagination. So we start with the power of stories. And the reading that I had at the start talked about how stories are hardwired into us. We use stories to recall facts, and our knowledge is based in stories. So what do the stories do for us? What do they tell us? I mean, we all have our favorite stories. The ones that we've read so many times, we've broke the binding on the book. Those of us that are old enough to have experienced VHS, the spots of the VHS that you watch too many times, you start wearing the film thin, right? The stories that we keep going back to. But the thing is, all of those stories have the rough moments. And the rough moments are needed to make the wins that much glorious. Right? When Anakin Skywalker pitches Emperor Palpatine over the railing into the reactor of the Death Star, that is only so poignant because there was the time that he was Darth Vader. When Frodo pitches the ring into the volcano in Mount Doom, it is only as thrilling as it is because the armies of men are being overwhelmed by the orcs of Mordor. And because we almost lost Frodo to the Spider Queen. The story I won't give credit to the author for, but many in my generation grew up when the graduation of the wizard school was only as poignant as it was because you had the tyrant headmistress and war approached the very doorstep of the school. The tough parts are what makes the winning so glorious and so joyful. And that is fine. That's great for the stories we consume. And we can experience that range of emotions as we listen to the story, as we watch the story, as we read the story. And we experience those emotions as those other characters. But that distance from those characters offers us a little bit of a safe space, right? We aren't actually in those situations, right? And we know based on the story, right? We know the ending's going to be fine. The main character is going to survive. The armies of men will win against the orcs. We know how these stories go, and we take comfort in them. And so what I ponder this morning is not the stories of others, but the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves. The stories we tell ourselves about our own struggles. In another one of her books, Rebecca Solnit posits that one of the easiest ways humanity has of dealing with terror and horror and atrocity is to simply tell ourselves the story that it's not as bad as it is. We tell ourselves there are people that will deal with this problem. We tell ourselves, I'm going to be brave. I'm not afraid. I'm going to make it through today. And those are the stories we need to tell to still be able to do our job Monday to Friday in the midst of everything that's going on out in the world right now. As we're terrified of all that's happening, there are the stories we tell ourselves. There's the intellectualizing we do about how we're going to get through. Now, my wife back there, I'm sure, is laughing at me because we've had conversations about how I love to intellectualize my problems and talk away my problems. And so this message is as much for myself as it is for any of y'all. But I think there is something to be said about the power of the Easter story and the fact that it takes 3 days to tell. Because you see, in the Christian tradition, we don't tell the Easter story in one sitting. We spend the time to experience the different stages of the story. It's not a 2-hour movie. Because you see, in the Christian story, we allow ourselves to experience Good Friday. And we have, in some places, a whole service dedicated to that moment. And because this is a story that we know the ending of, we allow ourselves to experience it. But we do spend the time allowing ourselves to be afraid, to be scared. Because you see, in the story of Easter, after Jesus was put up on the cross on Friday, and the Romans came to find all of his followers, even Peter ran and hid. Peter denied Christ. And if Peter can do that, I don't need to be that brave. I can admit that I'm scared. I can admit that what's going on out there in the world is terrifying. And I can let myself feel those feelings. I don't need to be brave. I don't need to be strong. I don't need to be able to shoulder this struggle all by myself. I don't need to be the stable rock for the family. I don't need to be the person everybody can call when they're having a rough day and I can offer them. I don't need to be any of those things. I don't need to tell the story that I am any of those things. I can tell the story about how we're scared, about how the government is terrifying. I can feel the struggle. And that makes the Sunday morning sunrise that much more beautiful. Because it is that hope, it is that victory painted against our own fears, our own worry, our own trauma. So I would encourage us to find our stories that truly do allow us to experience what needs to be experienced. Sure, there are the stories we tell us to get us through the day, and I'm not discounting those. I'm not saying we shouldn't tell ourselves those stories, because we do need to get through the day. But periodically, maybe only once a year, we need to find a way to tell ourselves a story that lets us be true to ourselves, that lets us feel those things we need to feel as strongly as we need to feel them. And as scary as that is, the solace is that means that the sunrise can be even brighter, and that we can experience that joy even more vibrantly. So I would, as a statement of intention, I would ask you to think about the stories you tell yourself. Think about whether those stories, as mentioned earlier, can come from any of the religions across the world. I picked a story from the Christian faith, but there are many similar stories of struggle and of victory. Find a story that works for you. Find the story that gives you that motivation and that joy and that hope to keep up the good fight. All right.
And if you'll rise in body or spirit for hymn 298, Wake Now My Senses.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of the ancient hall. Keep with the web of creation your vow, giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limits and praise the divine. Wake now my passion, give heart to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as your neighbor, both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end.
What's your story? It's all in the telling. Stories are compasses and architecture. We navigate them. We build our sanctuaries and our prisons out of them. And to be without a story is to be lost in the vastness of a world that spreads in all directions, like Arctic tundra or sea ice. To love someone is to put yourself in their place, we say, which is to put yourself in their story, or figure out how to tell yourself their story.
All right. If you would join me in our words of extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. All right. And if you will rise in body or spirit for our closing song.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
That went very well.